says hi. Starfish says hey yo. Blah 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 blah. All right, let's launch Opus Magnum. All right, so while this loads, welcome everybody. I'm Brickios. I have Biggie Mac beside me for commentary.
Hello again.
Yep. And this is week 4 results of the Opus Magnum 2021 tournament. And let's go and introduce this puzzle. Oh. Whoops. My bad. I gotta go and, actually put the puzzle folder in here. Oops.
False start.
Whoops. My bad. Yes, you can harp on me all you want for making this rookie mistake. Alright. Well, okay, you say in before I accidentally show week 5, but the thing is, week 5 is, I have no solutions in week 5, like, rookie mistake. Yeah, like, this is literally what week 5 is already, and, like, this isn't a solution. Like, this is literally just this laid out. Anyway.
The aesthetics, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't have any solutions in here. So yeah, this is week 5. So for those, yes, week 5 is currently going on. This is the puzzle. It's called Calm Before the Storm. Because if you look at the reagent, you might get a hint of what's coming up. Anyway, this is week. Yeah, this is week 4. Alrighty. Let me just introduce the puzzle. I'll let you introduce the puzzle, actually, while I go and look at my spreadsheets.
You're letting me talk about a production puzzle. That's risky. So here's the thing the game does that isn't an open space with a lot of freedom. You get cabinets, and you have to fit everything inside of them. Area is replaced by instructions. I'm sure anyone who has followed this tournament probably is used to the third metric being area. Now we care more about instructions. So every time that an instruction is placed on an arm, that is +1 instruction. That includes any arms that have like repeats and resets, the C and the V on a Windows keyboard. You would end up having all the instructions that decompiles to count towards instructions. Now, one of the metrics is instructions, so you actually care about that one unique metric in this production chamber. The other metric is cycles. So it's just how fast can you go without all the space in the world to work with. I think, what are we looking at, cycles first?
Yes.
Yeah. So in a free space puzzle with a 3-atom input and a 10 equivalent atom output, you'd be making a pretty big machine. In a production chamber, you are not making a big machine. You are probably not running at input speed. You are limited by the ability to pass atoms back and forth between conduits, except for the fact that a lot of the times it's beneficial to have as little conduit usage as possible because it has an every 3 cycle limit to it. And yeah, the actual puzzle is inspired by a follow-up to the panacea to poison, where you need to now make an antidote to the poison, so you've got a lot of life in the output instead of a lot of death. You need an amethyst to make that. You have an earth in the middle, which isn't part of the output or input, so you need a Burlow's wheel. And you're making a lot of vitae and a lot of Moors, so the Moors needs a disposal. So once you've placed the output, the Burlow, and the disposal, you realize that there's just not enough space for what you would want to do. You are very cramped. I know. Bricky, did other people submit one-chamber solves, or was I the only one?
Someone else did. And
Okay.
they beat you on gold.
Oh, they beat me on gold. That's impressive. I did a piston on 2-track, but I was figuring that fixed arm on 4-track would beat me if it could be done. I just couldn't find a layout that allowed it. Yeah, I did a 1-chamber solve with a piston on a track, but I was thinking if you want min cost, it should be a four-arm or four-track.
Rolomny, hush, you're spoiling it.
So, okay, cool. I'm glad I didn't send mine as a showcase because it wasn't the actual best result for a one chamber. One chamber is pretty darn restrictive with all these 7x objects you're placing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, so long story short, production puzzles are they're very much like a completely different mindset that you have to get into to do, mostly because normally you're so used to just vast open spaces that you don't usually think about, okay, I need to like work within confined spaces, I can just add an arm, whatever, and then fix everything. But in production, it's the limited space definitely requires like an entirely different mindset to approach, and that's probably why we didn't have nearly as many solves. I only received around 90 solutions from 30 people this time. Before this, I was averaging somewhere around 150 to 200 solves from like from 40 people. Yeah, so it's definitely a big step up in terms of difficulty this week, and yeah, let's get into it. Oh, right before I get into it, I'll just quickly say a little bit more about the background of this puzzle. An earlier revision had a Vitae input, and I was considering having the middle atom be salt instead of earth. That would have made this puzzle dramatically easier. And I decided, okay, I'm going to try to solve this in the difficult version, that is without a Vitae input and with the earth in the middle. And if I can solve this in a relatively short amount of time, it's going to be the harder one, because week 4 was meant to be a little bit harder. I did solve it. It wasn't a particularly good solve, but I did manage to solve it with it didn't take me too long, so that's why it's harder than usual. Anyway, now I need to get to... Alright, so Steven did not actually submit this week at all. So coming up first is actually Voidify.
And this is for cycles?
Yes.
Okay, so the input is in the big chamber, and it's passing off the animismus in the side chamber.
Yes. Yeah, so there were a lot of things that people kind of tried, and it's pretty common to see the Burlow wheel in one of these two chambers. The other thing that sometimes occurs another thing that a lot of people did was put disposal in one of these two. Usually I see the disposal in this chamber just because disposal requires one atom output, and the second chamber is already like a single atom input anyway. But yeah, this one uses that for Burlow.
Yeah, I won't try to say like I know what the best option is. I know what I did. It's probably going to have overlap with some of the best options, and then it's going to find some blind spots. It's also really interesting to me how like every arm in a production puzzle is usually a piston, just because when you're trying to go fast in low area, it's so restrictive that pistons are just so much more powerful.
All right. Yeah, I was saying, I think my first solve was like 600 cycles or something. It was slow and it was bad, but it was a solve. So, yeah, Voidify was saying they had convinced themselves that there wasn't enough room to put more things in the main chamber. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Coming up next is Monster Racer.
Hey, he made a solve. I know he was complaining pretty early on in the week of like, This puzzle is hard enough that just getting a salt is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of depends on like, your fundamentals in this game, how much you can do in how little space. But oh, that's an interesting bonding order.
It is. Ooh. It does it one atom at a time. Yeah, I mostly see solutions that bond the water and vitae first before bonding to the center Earth, but I guess not this one. Yeah.
Oh, Monster also doesn't have a calcifier in his solution.
Uh,
So,
calcifiers aren't necessary.
yeah, this just means it's 4 inputs to 1 output instead of trying to do a 3 to 10 or 10 inputs to 3 outputs, which is the perfect efficiency. So he throws away water out or water atoms
Right.
and uses salt from the input to make the earth in the middle.
Coming up next is Rebix.
Ooh, this is a new name.
I think it is.
I saw them on the Discord talking a bit, but I don't think they've been in the tournament so far.
This is a very interesting approach here.
Yeah.
Rebix puts
Everything gets calcified.
salt
The water
vitae.
comes from the burlow.
Yes, it does. Yeah,
And a buffer of 3 of those little duplets comes in through the double.
yeah, and he's throwing away, or they're throwing away salt here. Yeah.
More than salt, yeah.
Yeah,
This is an approach.
yeah, it's very interesting. Very cool too. Just yes, you could put vitae and salt into here and burlow that. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It makes sense to store up a buffer of 2 atom pieces when there's a 2 atom conduit, because both sides of the conduit and then the other 2 pieces in that chamber all fit it. It doesn't seem like it's the fast option, but it is a solution.
Coming up next, Kupiala. At least it works. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
it does.
That's important. They have a multi-bonder. That's a very expensive use of the not like expensive cost-wise, but space-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, they bond everything onto the center Earth in one cycle? That's pretty snazzy, actually.
Let's take a look at that again. Yep, single cycle. That's pretty amazing, actually.
And Starfish pointing out in the Twitch chat that this is the first person to use the side chamber for input processing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could also put the input in one of the side chambers. You can't really put the output into one of the side chambers because there's just not enough space to bond everything and move it all over
you can't
the
make
glyph.
the second to last bond. You can make the last bond, but you couldn't make the second to last bond if you put the output and a bonder in the side chamber.
Coming up next. OMG, it's a beast.
Oof.
Yeah, unfortunately, 350 cycles was not very good for this puzzle.
I know that Abyss has been pretty high performing in all the other free space puzzles, so this is going to be a weaker week for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I see that they're passing the input into the side chamber and swapping out the vitae and a water.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's just really hard to make that process a fast loop.
All right. Coming up next, username void. Do the earth water structure in a side chamber, then add the vitae last. Well,
You'd need a buffer of vitae, but that's possible.
yeah, it's possible. I mean, you can't do like the whole thing, like all 4 atoms, because they won't fit through the conduit, obviously. But there's technically nothing stopping you from doing just the earth and the water in one thing. Yeah, there is a very long track there.
I like how all the arms are sharing it. I'm wondering if all of the tiles ever get used. I imagine they should, because otherwise you're wasting cost and cost secondary.
I'm looking at Arm 2. I'm wondering if Arm 2 ever moves down there. Because everything else... Or Arm 5? Does Arm 5 ever go there? Ooh, I don't think it does.
I didn't see the final 2 points of that track ever used.
Let's try let's try
You're
doing
just gonna
this.
break someone's solution live on stream?
I mean, if it doesn't break, then
I get the impression that at some earlier point, it's possible Arm 2 held onto the input and pulled it up to save one regrab. But programming that through the entire tape is not good.
yeah. Well, saved you 10 gold there.
Oh, Rolamni was saying that the earth water structure in a side chamber, build the earth water first and then Vitae last, would allow you to actually make the last 3 bonds in the side chamber, and probably, I don't know. I don't know if it's possible.
All right, coming up next.
304 cycles is where we just left off. Okay.
Yeah. Top of mouse. Yeah, unfortunately, the 10 cycle or the 10 gold cost would not have made a difference.
This first, okay, these are quite a few non-pistons.
There's an interesting triple arm here.
It's carrying some multiple duties without having to reset. I like it.
Well, that's the thing. It rotates anyway. It could have been a double arm that would save an instruction. I think. No. Okay, I see. It needs to reset a little bit earlier than that. Alright. 297 cycles. Top of mouse.
Is Zero Aura 202 in the chat? I don't recognize the name as someone in the
I don't recognize that.
Oh, that's username void.
Void.
Okay. So there's 5 cycles difference between what they said they had and
okay, let me take a look.
Was.
Username void. Username void. Right, you emailed me your solutions, right? Let me take a look here. Username void.
Anxiety about submitting the proper solutions. Yes, to the point where I will rename my solution to something else, even if I already liked the existing name, just so that I can ensure that it moves up to the top, because sometimes I don't see it move when the glyphs move. I need the solution to be the most recently modified, and then I need to put it in Discord. I really appreciate, by the way, Discord as a submission path. So my email is, I'm the kind of person who has 2,500 unread emails. I don't open my email daily. When I can submit through Discord, I'm much happier.
Save this. On the... Just cross-check the size of this thing to make sure that I have the right solutions. 2.07 kilobytes, 2.07, 1.58, 1.58. This should be the... I received 2 solutions from you, username void, and these are the 2 solutions that I have from you. I'm going to send you a... I think you're on Discord. I'm gonna send you what I have.
They say in the chat that they messed it up. They
Oh.
may have not actually had the file at the 299 cycle state when they copied it and sent it.
Oh. Well. Okay. Well, we just ran through your. Okay, I was at 304. Okay, that's unfortunate. I'm sorry about
Now we've
that.
got top of mouse at 297, so it's a small change in the primary metric, but it doesn't affect placements.
No, it does not affect placement. Well, if it was 299, it wouldn't affect placement because the one that we just went through was 297.
It's part of the risk of the immediate verification. Like, we're going to do it live on stream with the submissions having come in a minute before it started.
Yeah.
I at least called it on this puzzle at 2:50 in the morning last night like a sensible human being.
Alright, username Void, I have sent you 2 messages on Discord of the 2 solutions that I have from you. And we're gonna continue onwards. Alright, so that was Topo Mouse, I believe. Yes. Coming up next, Tweedledee.
A 6T solution according to the title. Yeah, 1,489 instructions. That's a lot of instructions to place.
Yes, yes, indeed.
A little bit of effort on this puzzle, you know. All right, so I like the animismus subroutine, but there's a lot of pauses on it. Like, there's a lot of points where it's just not able to drop onto the conduit because of how much the conduit is already covered on the other side of it, and it would just crash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this placement of the conduit it's a little bit strange for sure. It works, but it is busy because it's right between, like, the input needs to cross over here as well.
Yeah. It's definitely busy. It's just not streamlined, so the busy is a lot of shuffling.
Moore's buffer in the bottom right.
Yeah, one more is dropped by arm 8 to like a spot on the track. And it's passed across to the other chamber at some point. And now it's in, yeah. Actually, that Morse takes a trip over to the Brillo wheel side as well, just so that it can be out of the way.
Huh.
Like, I think this is a solution that didn't plan around disposal, but it eventually needs to dispose of stuff, so it just hides it until it can move it over to disposal. It's so busy. It's a really cool design.
Alright. Coming up next, Madmaster 5000.
This was a last hour solution according to the Twitch comments. Ooh, the assembly is really streamlined on this. I like it.
Yeah, having the animismus right here and the input and the output this is like the kind of solution I kind of expected to see, mostly because of
Disposal and Brillo sub-processes and everything else in the main chamber. That makes sense.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, it's how I solved it, to be honest. Just because having the Burlow out of the way is really nice, and having the disposal out of the way is, well, the disposal isn't as big of a deal because you can overlap it with a bunch of stuff. Like swinging an atom over it doesn't crash
because you can swing over it without any issue.
Mm-hmm. Whereas the Burlow wheel, that's the main problem. The Burlow wheel is huge.
Yeah, Brillo is just a nightmare to put anywhere other than off to the side. Flamehaze asks, what is that? And I kind of need a little bit more clarification on what is what. What is a production puzzle? It's hard. You have limited space instead of freedom.
Flamehaze submitted this week.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they're talking about conduit
phasing.
phasing.
So yeah, the conduits will accept an atom on one side and produce it on the other, but there's no actual transit. So you can drop an atom on both sides of the conduit, and then the other side of the conduits will pop up with the same atom that was just dropped, so that you don't ever have to they can pass through each other effectively. If you were to treat it as a transit, they're passing through each other, but according to the game, it's just disappear from one location, reappear in another. And there's no reason that it can't just be a... I'd like to see what you're choosing to do on live.
Yeah, so if I grab here on 4, so right now, right at this cycle, everything is held, and then if I drop both of them at the same time, they swap places without crashing. Uh... like realistically, in terms of like, the physical space and whatnot, it doesn't really make sense for this to happen, but it is a thing.
I feel like this puzzle was definitely approachable without that knowledge. I know that the one that RP0 did, the Dwarven Firewine, that knowledge was huge in terms of making it easier as a puzzle. But yeah, there are lots of approaches to this that don't require it. I'm not sure whether the top approaches would use it.
All right, coming up next after Mad Master is Guzumi. Interesting use of a hex arm here.
Gotta move things in parallel, evidently.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay, actually, it's just using one atom buffer. Is it?
I'm pretty sure this is a 3T solution because of this arm.
Yeah, it's buffer. So this is the way to solve the ratio problem that I don't think any of the solutions so far, like, they've done this, but I don't think we've talked about it. If you use the first input to just stash it somewhere and hold 3 atoms off in the Brillo chamber, then you can extract them one at a time to be the central Earths. That leaves you an easy way of using 10 inputs to make 3 outputs.
Mm-hmm. I thought grabbing Brillo atoms was illegal. Actually...
They just don't have grab hitboxes.
Yeah, they don't actually have a hitbox at all. Or, as in, like, yes, they will... You will collide atoms into it if you try to move them in, but they're not grabbable. Yeah. Alright, coming up next... Chickens in the Attic. This is at 237 cycles.
Neat. So much motion on that partial product. I'm surprised because it's so easy to form bad bonds or accidentally break bonds. Like, I'm surprised that this is a completely safe motion path with how much motion is happening.
There's only one bonder in this solution, which helps. Yeah.
Sure.
And definitely.
It's also interesting that they are putting the Earth duplication onto a salt that's already bonded to water. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Save the step.
What are they doing with leftover salt is my question. I think it all goes into the animismus in some form or another. Yeah,
Trying to see what's disposed. It's looking like only Moore's is disposed, so this is a 3T, a 10 inputs to 3 outputs solution.
Yes. Yeah, so this is it just does the earth to water thing here, and all the salt goes into there.
Yeah, the way that it balances comes from the fact that they can have one stashed on animismus and then send in the other at the next point.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot bond to the Brillo wheel, Hutobi. Otherwise, it would be such a powerful wand without actually having to grab something. Also, yeah, Matter Monkey points out the output is chiral. You could build the mirror of it by accident if you weren't careful.
Yeah. But because the animismus is reversible, it's not too big of a deal. Yeah, you do have to make it.
Mirrorable.
You have to mirror the whole solution by hand if you mess if you messed up the beginning part. But I mean, it's not too bad. Coming up
Flip everything and save.
after Chickens in the Attic is Communist Mountain.
So we're still up in the 200s?
Yes, this is 230. This is actually the bottom of the front page. So,
Wow, 1 atom at a time from the input every 9 cycles. I mean, 1 atom every 3 cycles. So this is running at single conduit speed.
what about Arm 4? What does Arm 4 do?
It holds it off to the side once. I think it's just the fact that Arm 3 is not safe to just spam spin.
Let me... Oh, it's because it needs the water first to start out this thing at the very beginning.
All right. Yeah, this seems like it's bottlenecked, but it's not. It's not. It's still adding pauses. Starfish points out, and I'm looking at Arm 3, and there is some gaps in its code, but it's almost able to process an input every 9 cycles.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And it's using them at max efficiency.
Coming up next, Anime 217. I will say though, I was very impressed by how low cycles this puzzle went. You know who you are. You know who you are. Please don't say anything and spoil it for everyone. But this solution, this is a very interesting solution. How the Earth atoms are made here.
Makes a buffer out of them, and they looked like they were bonded together at some point.
Yes. Where does that come from, actually? Okay, so okay, so Anime uses the conduit swap right there. So the first input gets debonded, and right here it conduit swaps. Bam. Very cool. What's that confirmation that Biggie 1 cycles? You'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not confident saying I did anything that well because I saw a route to improvement that I didn't want to try to follow through on. It would have been about a 10% improvement if I had built a solution around it, and I didn't care to.
Coming up next, Bambi, Misery Fest. Well, I'm sorry.
People have feelings about cabinet puzzles. I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
Interesting that the Earth comes out second in this. There's 2 of the water and vitae buffers here before the Earth.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this hex arms work right there. It is interesting for sure.
I guess when you rotate by 2, you're always guaranteed to get Assault there, which is useful for Arm 4 working on an every 4 loop.
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. Arm 4 actually does this is like a little bit of a buffer space because Arm 4 moves this atom from this side to this side. And that actually kind of makes a difference.
I love it.
That is
Yeah,
actually
if you
really
move
cool.
something without ever being held by an arm in the main chamber, if it is on one side of the conduit and is moved to the other side of the conduit.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. That is Bambi at 214 cycles. Coming up next, Andrej K at 209. If I can find... There we go. Input into one of the corners. Interesting.
Oh, there are 7 hexes around that hex arm that they want to be able to hold, so they needed to add a piston to push the input onto it. I do like input and top chamber. Having two different places to drop the partial inputs out allows you to run at a pretty good speed. And the input is not really feasible to suppress, and so having it in the main chamber is like Burlow light in terms of avoidance. Disposal in the main chamber can be avoided pretty trivially. So I really like having the things that will run into other things be in the side chambers.
This one isn't operating at maximum efficiency, though. It does throw
Yeah,
away
it
water and salt. But that's okay. It shows that you don't need to run at max efficiency to get a speedy puzzle.
Yeah, similar to the height puzzles, there was some trade-off between like, is it worth it to run at max efficiency, or is it better to just have a fast pipeline?
Yeah, exactly. Coming up next, F. Cavalierne.
Yeah, Votify is probably correct. A trivial improvement could have been pivoting into there. Although, except if you can pivot from one position onto that, then the hex arm would grab it. Although the hex arm grabbing it, if it's suppressed, isn't the problem. Okay, what are we looking at with this solution? One atom at a time build order, and it's pretty fast at this point. Oh, I see that it is using the one atom conduit for the input.
Yes.
So it is fundamentally not going to be able to go faster than an input every 9 cycles.
And you need 10 inputs for 3 outputs, so 20. You need 20 inputs, which you can times 9 cycles is 180 cycles. Yeah, so this is limited by conduit speed, I believe. Oh,
I'm not sure.
It's not quite. It's not exactly. There's a couple cycles of right here. Yeah, that held on there for a little bit longer than necessary, and number 1 or arm 1 wasn't ready to get that over. Yeah, so this isn't quite conduit speed, but it's getting very close.
Yeah, you can spot the bottlenecks, and then there are pauses that you might accidentally add around it.
Yep.
Like, I had a design at one point that had a bottleneck but hadn't reached it because of some pauses, and I got rid of all the pauses, but I didn't want to then redesign to get rid of the bottleneck, because that's much more of a significant ask. Getting rid of pauses, I can script, I can do that. Getting rid of bottlenecks is design problems that I don't want to try to solve for production puzzles.
Coming up next, our Titan. So our Titan, well actually no, F. Cavalierne was our first sub 200 cycles solution at 191. This is our Titan solution, and it beats that by 3 cycles.
188?
Yes, 188. And actually we have a
primary
metric tie.
Yeah, I know of a tie at 188, so this is going to be the more expensive of the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this one, input in the top chamber. Interesting 2-arm, or yeah, 2-arm usage here.
That makes sense. It has to be a 2-arm and not a 3-arm, because the 3-arm would grab the salt that it can't let go of.
Yes.
So that's better than any other arm for that job.
And
I'm concerned about the build order because it does something different for all 3 of the water vitae pairs.
Yes, because yeah, this is 3T because there's a earth buffer in this chamber, in the bottom chamber.
So like even within one output, the second time that a vitae and a water are bonded, there's a double pivot. The third time, it's just in place sort of deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many different arms all crammed into one small area when you run a production puzzle like this.
Jojo is asking, how does Arm 4 not crash here? So these walls are actually kind of loose. These walls they don't crash as if there are atoms all around them. They're actually, you can do some things.
It's equivalent to having an arm on every tile, an arm base on every tile around the chamber.
Yeah.
Every single crash that you would get the same if you had an arms base on every tile around the chamber.
So, for example, if I grab here and I pivoted, it doesn't crash. If I did this, though, it will crash. But it crashes on that hex specifically.
Crashes in the middle where an arm base would be.
Yeah, so if this one hex was free, then this would actually not crash. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something that came up in the Discord of I bet there is a situation you could create a puzzle where you could make it work in a production chamber smaller than the minimum area you could ever solve it in free space. Because area counts atoms hitboxes around the thing, but the chamber counts arm hitboxes, and those are enough more lenient. You can do something like that.
All right. So that was our Titan at 188. The other person who tied it was Brother Mojo. So our Titan was at 565 gold, and Brother Mojo's at 515. So 50 gold cheaper. Same speed.
Having a track loop here that is non-pistons is useful. If all of those are pistons, they would be tied at 575.
You need another 20 gold on top of that. Or no. If those, sorry, yeah, if those were all pistons, that would be an extra 60 gold. So this would actually lose to our Titan's gold cost.
Oh, I thought it was 575. Never mind.
No, it was 565.
So what's going on here in the?
Our Titan is saying, wait a minute, did you send me another solution? And is this an old one? Let me check my DMs.
Oh no, he's looking at the solution, trying to figure out whether arms are doing things.
Arm 4 and 6, do they even move? I don't know. You sent me the solution. You should know.
Brother Mojo solution.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, our Titan. And Brother Mojo.
It's a track loop, but I don't see the part where anything advances around the track. It might be because it's
Arm 5 and 6, or Arm 5 does move.
Yeah, good luck editing a track loop in production chamber.
Yeah, I kind of hate doing that. I think that's how it was. Let's see if it crashes.
Interesting also that there is a calcifier in the main chamber for the input, and it's used only for the very first input and then the 11th input. Yeah, there are some secondary improvements. Brother Mojo says that he had tried to do primary improvements on this, got burned out because he couldn't find any and didn't look at secondary.
That's a little unfortunate, but you are lucky that you won the cost tiebreaker there. So, yep. All right, let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Are we in the top 10?
We are not in the top 10. We're getting close, but we're not.
Okay.
I think this is 13th place is coming up next. That is Matter Monkey.
Oh, sick. Nice.
Yeah, we're starting to get into speedy territory. This is at 177 cycles.
More people who agree with me that the two clunky things, input and Burlow, belong inside chambers. It's a lot easier to nestle things over the disposal like it's happening here. This build order is a little chaotic, though. There's quite a lot of backs and forths happening to get it to fix. Like, yeah, you have to pivot and then pivot back to get the second bond made, and I'm not entirely sure why that is.
I don't know. I'm trying to look at... Oh. I think it's because... Actually, I don't know.
This is one cycle faster than something that looks simpler.
Huh. Interesting. Because you want to pivot the water VD around the water... Oh.
I see. The bond is always water vitate first, water earth second. And so you need to be holding it by the water and pivot it in one direction, and that's easier.
Right there. That saves the cycle. And if you try to swing the earth in from the left, it hits the water. Rip. Interesting. Alright. So 177.
Okay, so that's under the 180 barrier that we had talked about coming from an input every 9 cycles.
Yes.
So we're out of that limit.
Yes. Coming up next, 171 cycles. JoJo.
Naming.
I know, I didn't put instructions as a tiebreaker.
If it's silly and it works, it's still silly. I love the spinny wheel. I also think it's really interesting to see input and animismus in the big chamber in a fast solution.
Yeah, I don't think the fast solutions have animismus in one of the side chambers, just because doing that is just too slow because of conduits. I'm not sure.
So what I said, I'd gone past my limit with a different approach. It was to put animismus in a side chamber. But
Wait, really?
Yeah, I had a thing that would go at a faster than my solution speed with animismus in the side chamber. I just couldn't connect at all.
Okay,
There might have been some fundamental limit
curious.
with not having space for bonding, but it's
Yeah, because this one uses the multi-bonder, it actually makes an extra bond that needs to be debonded, which is kind of
I still have to
oof.
do a T-shaped bond and it has to debond it, but that's at least not going to interrupt throughput.
Yeah. Right there. You got it.
JoJo says that the bottleneck in this solution is actually piston arm 4 that does 2 pivots and then moves something 2 more spaces, so it has a 2-cycle reset afterwards. And that means it's an 8-cycle loop. Arm 4 is acting on basically every cycle except for the 6 on the output.
Huh. Interesting. Let me double check to see if we're breaking into top 10 yet. We're at, coming up is, let me check again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. JoJo. Alright, coming up next is 11th place. That would be Mr. Puzzle.
People in the chat are saying things that confuse me. 6-cycle loop would have been pretty good.
You
I don't know where
memesters.
I don't know where I say it. I have to figure this out.
You memesters.
Also, another spin solution.
Yep.
Basically, the decision making between JoJo and Mr. Puzzle, like a spinny spin arm and the input and animismus. Oh no, animismus is a side chamber. This one is still input in the main chamber still.
Yeah, the reason why I thought animismus in the side chamber wasn't terribly great is because you have to still move the Moors out and then move that into disposal. Though I guess it is kind of alleviated because Arm 11 here has a really, really nice swing of the disposal, or of the Moors directly into the disposal, so I guess it's not that bad, apparently.
Yeah, and so I won't talk about the details of my solution, but I can maybe post about it in Discord later. About like the thing I found that would make my solution 10% better looks like this.
Alright. Utobi says, I got top 10.
169 cycles was 11th place. Now what's the top 10 looking like?
Coming up next is Flame Haze at 10th place.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Very new to the game and to the turn, or not to the game, but to the tournament. I remember being pretty early in the last week, and now getting to the top 10 in this week. That's nice.
Yeah. So here we go. Congratulations on 10th place for a pretty difficult week. Pretty standard approach. I mean, it's what I expected from, what is it called? disposal in one chamber and Burlow in the other. So this approach can get you pretty high up, apparently.
62. Yeah, I think the way that the input is debonded in this is really it's clean and it's out of the way, and it allows arms to grab the disposal or to grab the animismus and leaves a lot of space for assembly. Like this is a good use of the space.
Yes, for sure. Arm 1 grabs, pivots to debond that, debonds this, and drops the salt directly onto the animismus, which is very, very clean, very efficient. And Arm 5 has Moore's disposal duty and also does a little bit of output processing duty at the very, very end, right there. Yeah,
it's got a 7-cycle loop with pauses. There are a couple of pauses you can see on Arm 1's script, but
yes,
it's now limited at 140, which is pretty low, I guess.
Yeah, there's 1 cycle pauses, 2 cycle pauses, kind of spread sporadically throughout here. But yeah, again, congratulations on 7th place. Coming up next, Hutobi got 9th.
Nice.
Chirality, why?
You just build it wrong and then you fix it. Oh, interesting use of the input. There's a lot of input suppression happening in the very beginning.
Yes, there is.
Be able to pull off to that 2-size conduit.
I'm wondering what makes this solution faster.
It's got a 7-cycle loop with fewer pauses, effectively. Like you can see that there's 7-cycle loop on Arm 5, but that's the limiting bottleneck arm.
There's
it pauses a lot less often.
I think it pauses the same because there's only 2 cycles difference between this and the previous solution. So I think they're operating at the same tape length. Just this one has slightly less latency.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my guess anyway. All right.
I guess I can see Arm 5 is doing slightly different things depending on which stage of the process it is. It has to do some pivot moves, which is a little funny. Just to dodge everything. Oh, Hitobi says this is his first attempt at cycle.
Yeah. Well, you did pretty well. 9th place. Mr. Puzzle, is
Mr.
yours...
Puzzle was 100 and... not 171.
No, yours is 169.
It was faster than JoJo's at 171, so 169, yeah.
He says, okay. I will say, okay. Coming up next is Goodbye Galaxy. Input inside chamber.
Processed every 7 cycles. What's so limiting? Because I'm looking and trying to figure out. Because all the arms in there have a 6-cycle loop available to them. The limit looks like... Man, who makes this 7 and not 6? Answer for yourself. It might be just some combination of effects that force it to 7, because if it were 6, there would be a crash. But I see no individual arm that has a 7-cycle loop.
Yeah, Arm 2? Arm 2 is on a 7-cycle loop. Yeah, Arm 2. I think that's the limit, because it's a 7-7. Yeah, there's 7.
Arm 2 is a 6-cycle loop, there's just one extra gap. Things would crash at the conduits if it was made a 7-cycle, if it was made a 6-cycle loop out throughout.
No, there's no gap. I don't think there is.
You see the gaps after the reset instruction, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that makes it 7. It's not a 6-cycle loop. Yeah.
I guess I'm saying that there's a gap before the grab in the programming that I don't see the reason that couldn't be removed, but it's because of context.
Oh. Okay, sorry, I misinterpreted. What you meant, Arm 3. arm 3. Grab, rotate, rotate, minus, drop, plus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It has 6 instructions, but sometimes it needs the timing so that the other side of the conduit doesn't break.
In the beginning. Let's just try this and see what happens. Oh. Oh. Interesting.
Gotcha. It's not possible to clear the conduit fast enough without changing some of the layout. I guess I'm just specifically curious because I see no arm that needs the time, but there's still processes that need the time. They're just hiding.
Yeah.
But it's down to 150 cycles, so it's much closer to the ideal of a 7 cycle.
Mm-hmm. Well, congratulations on 8th place. Coming up next, 7th place. Oh, I should probably say it's time to spin a little bit past the time to put in your bets as to who gets top 3. It is a little bit late for that. It is definitely a little bit late for that.
I mean, I thought my solution was improvable, but I'm getting low and it's still not that close to my number.
Coming up next is Specht 98. Here. Cycles Gold.
RP0 is a DNF matter monkey, sorry.
RPO did not submit this week, unfortunately.
This is 4 inputs to an output, and it's moving really fast for it.
It is definitely moving really fast. Let's see here. Using both of the conduits as trashable things, I guess. Yeah, arm 13 just duplicates the earth.
It's not every 6, though. I mean, we have to look at how many cycles go on through the entirety of it. It's building an output every 24.
4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 24 cycles for the entire tape, but there are 2 different processes that grab the inputs because it's not doing the same, like, do the thing 3 times that a lot of the other ones do. It's wasteful for that. But it is making an output every 24 cycles, which that's a hard claim that you can make, and it's very fast. It's a lot of movement, but it's all very streamlined because things are all moving from like mid-left around the bottom to the right and then up. And that kind of streamlining here really prevents it from being a shuffle nightmare.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, and the here's an interesting thing. It starts with water vitae first, and then it starts building around it. And it always bonds the water to the earth first, and before adding on the vitae at the end. Very neat.
Yeah, it's got a build order that's latency aware, and the layout of this chamber is good. Mm-hmm. I want to see more solutions like this.
All right. Congratulations, Specht 98 on 7th place. 6th place. Biggie Mac.
That's a big jump.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, 146 to 129.
Yes. And it goes even lower than this.
All that time that I spent trying to get from 132 down to 129 to get rid of all those pauses.
You did tie someone else, actually.
Oh, and I was not the faster. I was not the cheaper of the 2.
No, you were not.
This is an every 6 loop with no pauses, and it uses 20 inputs. So it's like there are ways that I could speed this up. I didn't find them. It would have involved a new layout, and I didn't want to try to make it cheaper because I needed the expense to fix the pauses, even though the piston arm that's on the very left, arm 13, acts once throughout the entire solution.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm trying to figure out what it does. Wait, is this 6 taped?
Yes.
Wait, so
So
Arm 13 does literally one thing in the
yeah.
whole.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Oh, it moves one cell over to. Oh.
yeah, to get rid of the pauses, I needed to have the third output delayed by a cycle, but I couldn't afford to have the sixth output delayed by a cycle because obviously that's the one that matters. So the third output delayed by a cycle is when 11 and 12 switch places. So that's why it's a piston arm loop, even though it shouldn't look like it has to be. And then arm 13 is only there to do the very first initialization.
Mm-hmm.
And 129 was a pretty firm limit for the way I was building it. And I want to see what other people did now because I didn't think I would be sixth given how far we were from my number at seventh.
Yeah, this area is actually kind of crowded, but we'll see. We'll see. The person who tied you was Neuter.
Which are nice.
20 gold cheaper.
I'm not surprised. I had a lot of added expense for that one cycle at the end. Every 6 cycle build order is nice. This one uses the input in the main chamber and the disposal on the side chamber. So this is very similar to specs that I said I wanted to see more of, and so now we're seeing more of it.
Ooh, it doesn't loop forever. That's interesting. That's very interesting, actually. I'm curious why that is.
I mean, it looks like it's finally gotten back to some of the arms hitting their initialization.
Is that what it is? 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, this is a 6T solution. 5 and 6.
That's a really good use of the space. I wouldn't have thought that that bonder is a viable position given how much is moving past it.
Yeah, the solution doesn't loop perfectly, and I'm not entirely sure why. But that doesn't matter. It made 6 outputs, and that's good enough.
Yeah, there's a cost save in the disposal chamber, and there's a cost save in the Burlow chamber, because that could be just a fixed arm doing 2 rotates.
Yeah, so there is possible cost savings in this.
Cost already was saved beyond the point that mattered, just to beat me.
Alright, coming up next. Oh, congratulations on 5th place, Nature. Coming up next is Rolomni.
Alright. I'm wondering if the cycles are saved like one at a time, or if we got a chunk of 15 cycles coming off again.
This one is 125 cycles. So
And it seems like it's just every 6 with less latency because it doesn't have to pass through conduit.
I think that's what it is, because it's literally only 4 cycles faster. So, I mean, if it's 4 cycles, it's probably not because it's... Well, it could be that it's 1 cycle faster per tape loop, or per output.
Oh, wait, it also only needs 5 cycles for the initialization inputs, the ones that go into the buffer.
Oh.
It handled those inputs in 5 cycles instead of 6. You can see the ARM 1 has a 5 cycle loop at the very beginning.
Yes. Yeah,
that's basically the saving I was expected when I did my redesign. I'd be able to save all the time that is spent passing through the conduits that made every input need 6 cycles instead of the ones that just go in animasis.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a good solution. Well deserved of a spot above me.
Rolomni, if only you had cut one more cycle. Coming up next is Jin Yu.
124.
Yep, 124.
This is a disassembly order that is unexpected. Like, it looks like the way that it's pivoting would get in the way of things, but it manages not to.
This is taped out to 6 outputs, so we have to step through this one by one. Double salt. Very interesting. Oh, okay. Warp
There's a deep under along with the Brillo.
Yes. Okay. And then this, yes, this is taped out for 6 because of some latency saving somewhere, probably at the end. And yeah, that made a big difference in placement. Well, it did make a noticeable difference for placement. Swap there for the Earth.
That was a really neat movement. Like everything dodged for a second and it worked out perfectly.
Yes, indeed. And then at the last product.
Yeah, I'm looking at it's usually delivered by arm 9, but I know that I saw that the small arm on the 4-link track is the one that actually delivered the final product to save some latency.
Right there.
Yeah. Very clean.
Yes. Congratulations on 3rd place. It was tied and beaten by Pentapig.
Also 124.
Pardon?
Also 124?
Yes. Also 124. Oh. Yeah, if Rolomni had cut just a single cycle more, he would have beaten both Jinyu and Pentapig.
Yeah, Starfish is the only name not brought up yet. That's really cool.
Rolomni was at 490 gold. But Pentapig is at 540. Alright.
These 124s, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just thinking these 124s are still 6-cycle loops, but they put the input in the big chamber, basically. And there's the 4-cycle loop initialization for, I guess, yeah, you can speed things up because if your animismus is running every 6, but it doesn't mean you have to grab an input every 6. I'm just curious how much further it goes down, though, because like I saw a route that I imagined would go under 120. I gotta see if Starfish is the only person to have gotten that.
Starfish is
a blowout.
Yes. Starfish did end up actually getting a 1st place blowout this round. You'll have to see how many cycles this is because it is pretty cool.
It's so fast. I love it.
Bam.
It's so cool.
107. 107. A full 17 cycles lower.
Well played, Starfish. I'm really pleased to see this. Yeah, I was putting mine at a limit around 108, and I wasn't going to be happy if someone else won with a number that I could have beaten if I put more time in it, but I don't think I could have beaten it without like growing your brain in my brain for a bit.
Yeah, so congratulations, Rolomni on 4th place. Congratulations, congratulations, Jinyu on 3rd, Pentapig on 2nd, and big congratulations to Starfish on a very well-deserved 1st place.
7 distinct winners.
Yes. This is not our 1st place repeat winner. It is not in CG. If it weren't for IC.
I remember Starfish showed up in the 2019 tournament, having not participated in the first few weeks, did the production puzzle only, and won it on cycles, because that's just a really, like, this person knows how to do production cycles better than most others. Congrats on that. That's a really good solution. Happy to see it.
Alright, I gotta go and run the solution part again. Week 4. Delete the verification folder. And then ICG run.
Don't get.
I don't know if that. I do know. Let me just take a look and see. Let's see. Did it finish generating? Yes, it did. Let's take a look. That is CG. Don't save. This is. Come on, close.
Like, I guess on, say, Overloaded, my production puzzle, the difference between a good solution and a great solution on cycles was like 50 to 70 cycles. But the difference between a good solution and a great solution on instructions was like 40 instructions down to 26 instructions for the winner. And that's a big delta in percentages.
I actually don't think it was. I don't think it was that bad. But anyway, let me go and copy all these solutions over.
It's possible that the constraints of having this be a really tight fit comparatively made it
Yeah.
the bottom didn't drop out quite as far.
Yeah, it's very, very possible that that was the case. Paste.
I remember, so instructions is a metric where you want to have your tape run multiple times to produce one output. And I was really intent upon seeing I can run the tape and get an output. And I imagine someone else got it to work where I failed. I just want to see what's coming up. And there's no reason 8 special either. It could be a bigger number like 12. I know Rolani's done 24 in a tournament before.
All right. Let's see if I imported this correctly. Henning May, you did send me a instructions before the deadline, didn't you? Henning May.
That's a nope from Twitch chat.
Oh. All right then. All right. So Bambi also did not send in a instruction cycle, so we're going to skip Bambi. We're going to skip Anime because we already saw their cycles. Rebix only sent in one solution. So I guess coming up next is wait. I wonder if did Voidify send me an IC solution as well?
I remember Voidify's cycle solution had a lot of instructions.
Voidify IC
over 300 or not?
265.
It's a different solution then.
It is a different solution.
Maybe not in a tremendous difference, but
it is okay. Production puzzles are hard. Especially when it comes to instructions. Yeah. So the main challenge to instructions for this puzzle is mostly trying to figure out how to like conditional logic out the Earth atom. I think that's what gave a lot of people like a lot of difficulty is just trying to figure out how to special case out this Earth atom, because otherwise you're stuck doing what this solution does, which is you have
making the water in Vitae has to be coded and scripted 3 times, which triples the instructions for that section.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you can condition out.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so Voidify says the cycles one is full efficiency, but this is 1 loop per output. That's the only difference. All the arms and algorithm are otherwise the same. Yeah. Yeah, so excuse me. Yeah, so the yeah, we'll see how the higher up solutions did their logic for how they did the Earth atom. There's a couple of different ways to do it. One is that you do a conditional like bond and like grab drop logic, and you can do that. The other way is you can also just have your arm rotate twice, so that it doesn't actually do anything. Like it grabs onto nothing until it rotates all the way around, which takes three loops to rotate. All right. Coming up next, I wonder if Cycles 5. I think Monster Racer. I think we saw this one already. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe we have, because it says cycles.
This is identical to what, yeah,
Yeah. All
this is
right.
what we thought.
Let me just take a look. Who else submitted only one cycle or one solution? Kupio Ala only submitted one solution, and he's next. Flame Haze. Flame Haze, I have 2 solutions from you, so you are up next.
Yeah, Chump Change Boy Madmaster mentions in Twitch chat, it would be excellent to be able to have different cycle lengths per arm that you could desync them and so have a different condition apply each time they're in a different relative phase. That would be a very powerful instructions optimization tool that isn't available to us. The solution looks like it's a cycle solution that maybe just learned how to be a little bit more inefficient with use of outputs.
It does look very like this. Yeah, the layout looks familiar, and unfortunately, it is still. This is another one of the solutions that is coded out for all 3 Vitae water things.
Yeah, this is, at least as far as I can remember, Flame Haze had made the first solution like a 3T, and this is a 1T. And so that's similar to the difference between Voidify's 2 submissions. One of them is just 1 output per tape loop instead of multiple outputs per tape loop, and at the cost of throwing away a little bit of water and salt.
Indeed. Coming up next is Madmaster, who said in Twitch chat that they only submitted 1 solution. So we'll skip that one. Coming up next is...
Our Titan asks a question. When someone says 1T and 3T, what does that stand for?
So T kind of just means like how many outputs do you have per instruction tape. By that I mean it's essentially 3T means your entire instruction tape means that you're making 3 outputs per your entire instruction tape. So in this case, perfect efficiency is 10 outputs or 10 inputs to 3 outputs. So if you did that kind of perfect efficiency approach, your thing was most likely 3T. Some people did do 6T. They scripted out the entire thing just to save on a couple cycles of latency at the very, very end. Yeah.
It's a terminology that was begun with GNU's nomenclature for solutions, and it's stuck since. It used to be used in tournament puzzles to distinguish between, or not in tournament puzzles, in campaign puzzles, to distinguish between an approach to an infinite that would loop and produce 1 output per segment, and an approach that would build all 6 outputs once and then validate that would be a 6T approach. But yeah, there's the implications if you try to use that same nomenclature in instructions of like you can do fractional T. So 1 input or 1 output being made by 4 tape loops would be a quarter T.
All right, so coming up next is Topo Mouse, and this is his solution, or their solution.
Everyone in chat saying quarter T seemed like they could do it. 8th T was an attempt, but never, like, you guys are saying the same thing I went through this whole week. 8th T was too hard. I don't know how much an 8th T would have actually saved in my case, though, because I found a lot of tricks while working on it that improved my quarter T enough. So here we are looking at the Topo Mouse's solution, which is still 1T, in that it's handling that input 3 times before it is.
I believe this is the last 1T solution.
Oh wow, so the jump from 178 instructions is going to be down quite a bit.
Yes.
I can't imagine a 1/2 T is useful here.
I don't know if the next one is 1/2 T or something else. I actually don't know. We'll have to see. We are in the top page already, by the way. And coming up next, so 178's instructions. Coming up next is Matter Monkey. All right, let's take a look at what's going on here.
We've gone from 178 to 126. That's a pretty substantial jump.
Yes.
Oh, wait, Matter Monkey is claiming something that bothers me a little bit. Are we looking at a 1/3 T?
I think so. Yes, we are. Okay, that's interesting. There, what it does is that it makes all the three water vitaes first, and then it checks to see if there's three of them. If there isn't, it disposes of it. But if there is, it makes the output.
Okay, I really like the conditional then. Yeah, it's adding to a buffer, and then the only conditional is a bond check on whether or not you can bond to the top of the buffer.
Yeah.
Because right here,
cool.
that bond, yeah. If it does exist, it prevents it from going into the disposal, and then you get the output. 1/3 T is a smart approach.
It's a little bit sad that ARM6 has to exist. Just to pivot it into the output, but oh well.
I think it's less for ARM2 to reset.
Is it really?
Like, if ARM2 were to deliver the product, the reset would be more
cycles. It's possible. Well, the reset is already... I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Let's describe a little bit more about what multiple tapes per output looks like, beyond just confusing things where something grabs something that isn't there.
Okay. Would you like to do that, or do you want me to?
It's hard for me because I have the Twitch chat as my view instead of your screen, so I'm going to be talking at the time that's different than when things are happening.
All right. So. Alright, multiple tapes per output, and yeah. Alright. So the whole idea of doing multiple tape runs per output is to save a lot on instructions. So, for example, the best 1T solution where we're making one output is completely scripted out is like 180-ish instructions. This one's at 126, so it is still a little bit heavy on the instruction side, but it is definitely a big improvement. So how does this work? There's conditional logic in here. So I'm going to start this at the beginning. So right here, this is the big...
I would start by saying that the way that this tape works, it creates one vitae and one water in this instruction tape.
Yes.
And then it also creates another atom. And that atom is conditionally used, where conditional is kind of in quotes because you still are doing the same actions with that atom because you don't have conditional instructions. But whether or not a condition is satisfied affects whether or not the action is meaningful. So here you can see ARM2 is bonding the Earth to nothing. And the question is whether or not, if there's something there to bond to, ARM2 wouldn't be able to grab onto it again because it would have moved. But it's grabbing onto nothing or it bonded to nothing, so ARM2 is still holding on. Basically, you have a divergence depending on the state of atoms on the board that has to be converted using fixed instructions into a divergence in state later on.
Essentially, right here, ARM3 is making an Earth, and ARM2 is checking to see if there are 3 water vitae pairs. If there is, then this would have bonded right here, and ARM5 would have moved it out of the way so that so ARM2 would no longer grab this Earth. But because there's nothing bonded to that, it will trash that output. All this rest of this stuff doesn't matter. It's just empty. But when there is a 3, when there is enough material to make a output, then all that extra kerfuffle that you didn't see is essentially this part. Notice how if there wasn't anything there, Arm 2 would grab and move that atom into the trash. But because there is, it no longer grabs, and instead what happens is it starts making this output. That's what all that extra kerfuffle was.
Yeah, this advanced programming kind of thing that you're mentioning is the reason that instructions as a metric is so ridiculously hard.
Mm-hmm.
People who are really good at instructions are thinking of ways to layer the same instructions over themselves multiple times and get the output to come after n of them instead of one of them.
Yeah.
Unrolling but backwards. I love it.
In for non-production puzzles, instructions is actually mostly how can you lay out this one track, and usually a 6-arm to see how if you can make the output in 3 instructions, which isn't very interesting.
The arbitrarily degenerative case of how can you reuse the same instructions is reusing advance on a track, because that can move you to a new place every time you advance on a track.
Yeah.
But when it's in a confined space, it becomes genuinely hard in a very specific way that is only encountered in the cabinet puzzles.
Mm-hmm. It's why instructions in cabinets is definitely more difficult, and oh god, cycles times instructions. Oh god.
That's like 1T instructions.
I
mean, it depends on what the puzzle is.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of the really, really interesting conditional logics end up slow.
Yeah. OMG, It's Abyss is up next. A lot of conditionals here.
Yeah, you can see anytime that there's an arm grabbing nothing, it looks like it's wasted instructions, but it's going to do something on a future iteration. There's just so much shuffling going on arm 3 that I'm laughing the more I see it.
I actually have no idea what all that shuffling is.
Well, a lot of it is trashing the extra salt and water during the time that the Earth atom is made.
Yeah, but that doesn't need to repeat this many times.
And then the rest of it seems to be... It has to do...
I don't know.
It's adding to the output in 2 different ways, somehow. Yeah, this is a ridiculous solution that they did in 2 hours, and attempts to interpret it will be...
Yeah, I don't know what Arm 3 is doing. That's
If you look at every single grab instruction on Arm 3, you would have to alt-click through and see which of the 4 times through the instruction tape that grab hits anything. And I would not be too shocked if there was one that didn't ever do anything and was left in because of a fast.
This says that they need to pivot in a different place each time. Huh.
So Arm 3 is in a different position on the track loop each time, is what is being said.
Well, hold up a second. So there's plus, plus, minus, minus, plus, minus, plus. Oh.
When you scroll to the right on this, though, it's Arm 3 going on a wild ride.
Okay, so it's plus, plus, minus there. Plus, plus, minus. Well, I'm miscounting for sure. I'm miscounting for sure somewhere. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
What I would do is alt click on the grab at the beginning, alt click again, and see if it's in the same place.
Okay. All right, so arm 3 starts at the right position, and after one loop, it goes counterclockwise by 1.
That's busy.
Okay.
Curiosity. If you were to delete arm 3, would this be fewer instructions than the winner? Don't spoil me on it, but I'm just curious if like getting rid of the 90 instructions or whatever arm 3 is doing. We're down to 50 instructions. Keep that number in mind, everyone.
More than half of the instructions in this entire solution is on one single arm.
It's really cool though that this is a quarter T solution with just kind of one crazy arm, and everything else is pretty low energy. It kind of reminds me of that like bad version of Zelda meme where there's the seller who's too animated and jumping over and everything.
I'm gonna fast forward through this one because it is many cycles long. Arm 7 doesn't have to be piston.
That's fine. Yeah, it's just a rotation once.
Oops. Yeah, there's 121 instructions.
I love how much it takes like effort to understand instructions solutions, but that is also really poorly scoped for a video that we want to only have a couple hours of.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that
these will be repeated eventually.
Yeah, the fact that we only had 31 scoring players this week definitely helps with the video, because we only took 1 hour and 12 minutes to get through the CG solutions.
And a lot of the instruction solutions are repeats because the people have not figured out a new approach that is better for instructions.
Mm-hmm. Coming up next is Username Void. 119.
Interesting. I can see multiple grabs by arm 1. Oh, but they're not on the input. Okay, so it is still a quarter G. Yeah, you can tell that once it has looped, all that has been added to the board is a single earth. That's a sign that it's a quarter G. The second time it loops, it's added a water and a vitae, and the third time and the fourth time. Meaning 4 times through and it has created an output. So then just really the big question is, how do you distinguish the first from the second and third, fourth cases?
The answer to that is usually some kind of output checking, like a conditional grab to see if the output is complete. But it depends. That's usually the case, but there are ways to do it without it. I don't know if anyone did it like that, though. I don't know. Arm 5 is on a 4-track conditional.
Yeah. I'm just pointing out that arm 5 is doing the same thing that this arm 3 did. Grabs in one position only, and that position will turn it into an earth. Everything else gets scrapped.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's another way to do conditionals on every X tape loops is track. Do something on a track loop. Yeah, so there's arm position on a track, arm rotation, and then just general grab drop and conditional bonding stuff. Yeah, there's actually more ways to do this than I thought. But yeah. Cough cough, this may or may not come in handy for week 9.
Why do you know about week 9?
I say that because week 9 is traditionally the sandbox / computational, or week 9 / week 10 / week 8. It's the final week. The final week is traditionally a computation problem done in Opus Magnum tournaments, and most of those require some kind of conditional logic. So, coming up next, chickens in the attic. Faster, because the tape loop is shorter. Ooh. Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. This is conditional by the Burlow wheel.
Wait, hang on.
That is possible. I did not think about that. Arm 3. Right, left, right, left, left, right. No, Arm 3 does not do... Arm 3 is not conditional. Arm 4, the Burlow wheel... Actually...
What is Arm 2 doing?
Arm 2 is there. Yeah, okay, so Arm 2 drops the water salt into the Burlow chamber, but that really depends on the timing, because sometimes it drops it in and it'll make a earth water, and sometimes it makes salt.
Yeah, Mr. Puzzle's right. So this is a build order I didn't think was possible to do conditionally in a clean way, where it is everything except Vitae and then 3 Vitae. It is a 1/6T, and it is a really impressive one.
Yeah, this is really cool. This is really cool. Yeah. I wonder...
You're creating a puzzle that has a lot of different approaches.
Yeah, I'm wondering where that conditional logic actually inputs, because like right now it's got this, but how does it tell not to make another... Oh, Arm 2 doesn't grab it right there.
Yeah, Arm 2 has like 3 different grab timings that are all making the water pair.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Arm 2 has to run 6 times before it resets.
Yeah, it's a 1/6T solution. The kernel of this is Arm 2, I think. But the fact that that's able to distinguish the 6 different cases that it needs to be aware of on the output is really cool.
Yeah, that is... Okay, because each of the Vitae requires one of them, so that's 3 right there. 4, 5, 6. At least one of them is earth water, and at least one of them is water. So I guess the other one is just an empty grab then.
Yeah, he was saying on Discord that Arm 6 working on this, or Arm 2 working on the 6th loop through the tape is a pure accident. Like, it's intended to do the right thing 5 times, and then it gets lucky the 6th time.
Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, Chickens in the Attic. Coming up next, Communist Mountain. 104. This is pretty fast for a instruction solution.
It builds an Earth every time.
Yes.
It's Arm 7 desync.
Yes.
Arm 7 is a position-based desync, so...
Yeah. Yeah, because right here, it sometimes it rotates 120 degrees.
Yeah, so 1/3 T. Arm 7 is in only once is it in the position to actually take the Earth and start the product. All the other times it gets incidentally disposed of by the same arm that is disposing Morris.
Yeah.
This is a really sensible approach with a 1/3 T.
All right. Coming up next, Specht 98. Quarter T, I think.
Yeah, the first time through it's created exactly 1 Earth. That's a quarter T sign.
Yeah. Yes, quarter T.
Under 100 instructions too. Down to the double
Yes.
digits.
We are
How low does
down
it go?
to double digits. We'll have to see.
Do we see single digits? I'm kidding.
No, we do not see single digits. That would be pretty incredible, but no, we don't. We do have showcase solutions after this, but we don't have that many. I think we have 2 or 3.
All right, so how is it checking output? Is it just dropping every attempt on output? Yes, it looks like it is. After it forms the Vitae bond, it moves up to output, it waits a cycle, and then it tries to grab, so that
Yeah.
in that case, there's nothing left. If it's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think for this puzzle, I don't think you can even get to single digit instructions with overlap. There's too much to do in Animismus. Like,
Well, you're certainly welcome to try overlap instructions. Coming
the
up.
main desync in terms of quarter T on this one is the arm on the 4-track loop over on the right. Seems like that's a pretty common thing then. It's just desync based on track loop. I couldn't fit a good sized track loop in my solution.
So it just makes everything earlier by like 3 cycles or something.
It changes the timing, which allows the pistons to say something different.
Huh. Interesting.
It's pretty simple once you have distinguished things on time to distinguish what you do with them, because you just grab at a different time for one case versus the other.
Right. Coming up next, our Titan.
So a lot of machinery in this one.
Yep, and this one is just checking every single output to see if it's complete. Arm 4 is on a 4-cycle loop, or so on a 4-track loop that is conditional, and all it does is grab and drop to change the timing for the Earth, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, it's the exact same sort of grab time delay. But it uses fewer instructions than like a rotate that was seen in the previous solution.
Mm-hmm. It's basically.
Right, I forgot that you only actually collide if you're at the edges of this chamber. So yeah.
What would collide?
People are saying that if you were to overlap, you could actually just avoid the chamber walls entirely and build it far away, and then you could make the degenerate 4-track.
Yeah.
Or 4-track.
Yeah, 3 instructions or whatever.
It's 4 instructions when there's animismus involved.
Oh.
It's
yes.
3 or 4
yeah.
for everybody.
All right, coming up next is Tweedledee. 92. 2 instructions less. Yeah, Spec 98 was at 96. Our Titan's at 94. Tweedledee's at 92. next player is actually 2 less as well at 90.
And here's arm 1 doing its 1 advance on a track. It's very interesting that the main conditional that we've seen so far is just being in a different position on a track loop.
Yeah, except for that one solution with the piston arm on a rotation condition.
Yeah.
Oh, that one also did have a arm on a track loop, did it? No, maybe, I don't remember.
No, that was a different one. Yeah.
When is top 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is 15th place.
Oh yeah, Mr. Puzzle points out there's also the rotation desync and chickens in the attics. That was 5 rotates of a single arm for a 1/6.
Right.
I think in my solution, every arm resets to the exact position it started in every loop. It uses a very different kind of conditions, just based on whether it fits through the conduit or not. I mean, I don't think you over-focused on atom conditionals. We've seen arm conditionals so far because they're the ones that score over 90 instructions. Although I might be wrong. There might be a lot of mixed logic in the better solutions. But I'm thinking that the arm conditionals kind of run into troubles getting low enough to compete with the highest scoring solutions.
The thing about ARM conditionals is in a production puzzle as cramped as this, you don't really have that much space for your track loops, and you don't have that much space for your rotations if you're using anything more than like a single arm. So, and
you
even
look at the record on the leaderboard for something like Rat Poison that has a lot more space relative to the complexity of the puzzle, you get really interesting conditionals. But in this one, so many of your arms are kind of forced to be pistons doing high, just like a high volume of work. That it's hard to have a lot of different conditionals, and you kind of have to have one and then build around it.
Guzumi's up next at 90.
Arms 3 and 4 share a loop, and they switch places every time. Is this a 1/2T? No, it's definitely not. I'm trying to piece together how many things are happening. It builds a Vitae first.
Yeah, that's what's really throwing me off, at least.
I guess it builds a Vitae and a water, or it builds a Vitae and one other atom, but that other atom becomes salt. Wait, let's not bypass the fact that this is literally the first solution I have seen so far in this entire video to put the Brillo in the main chamber.
Oh.
Am I missing something? Was there one before this that did that, or is this the first?
I think this might be the first, actually. I don't know. I don't remember.
And that's quite cool.
Hold up. I don't... I want to say there might be at least someone who did input in one of the chambers and disposal in the other chamber, but I don't know. I don't know. Because I think if the... I feel like it might just be that most people have done input in one chamber and Burlow in the other chamber and then disposal in the main. I don't remember, but it's pretty cool.
It just kind of, it looked like a solution, and then I looked over and I saw, wait, that's the Burlow wheel. Or just driving by the Burlow wheel in the big chamber.
All right, so
It's cool to see 90 instructions. I'm still not sure how it works.
yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, first loop.
It's only pulling 2 atoms through the conduit each time.
First loop is Vitae. Second loop is Earth plus Water. Next one is Vitae. Next one is water. Next one is vitae. Next one is water?
It's a 1/6 T. It's pulling 2 atoms through the conduit each time.
Yeah. Okay, it's 1/6 T. That is interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how ARM 10 makes this. Oh, it's conditional timing. Okay, okay. 5. Oh, that's what it is. 5. ARM 5 rotates only once every. Yeah, it rotates once. Yeah, once every 3, and it's the double arm, so it this runs on a 3. It runs once every 3 tape loops, and there's something else that happens as well. Yeah, this one is complicated.
ARM 6 is literally just a grab drop.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
All right.
It's kind of a sad thing that if it's a 6T, that the Van Brillo's wheel is in the same position after each tape loop, because it's possible to have a 1/6T that desyncs the Van Brillo wheel to different positions. Not generally going to be nicer to.
All right. Our next solution, we do a kind of a big jump down, actually. So this one was at 90 instructions, and coming up next is Starfish at 82.
Okay, not the biggest drop. I was afraid that we were going to be like neighbors to me next. Because this happened to me. I've been betrayed once. There's the exact same input position as in his cycles winner. It looks like, yeah, he kind of had one layout and stuck with it, but refocused its design on a quarter T. And there's ARM 5 doing the one advance on the track per time.
Yeah, I think when I did my initial solve, I got something around the lines of 180, 180 instructions, and I was like, okay, this is taped out for an entire output, so I expect minimum instructions to be somewhere around 60. Of course, like in practice, I mean, in practice it would really be more than 60 because you have to special case out the Earth somehow, but that was also like my very first solution that wasn't optimized at all, so it was just like a guess. But we'll see.
Whenever I hear a number for instructions, I'm going to assume that number is too high. Because everyone has always in the past showed me that instructions goes way lower than you think.
Well, I'll have to tell you that instructions for this actually might not go as low as you think. But we'll have to get there.
Yeah, I was definitely not finding better, but I don't trust my intuition as to how much better it can be done when there's a group of people looking at it who think better about this sort of thing.
Okay, me up next, Andrej K. Think this is a quarter T. Let's see here. Yes. ARM 1 is on a 4-track loop that only happens once every 4, so that's the this is quarter T.
Oh, I see. ARM 1 is disposing of a water salt pair that ARM 5 is prepared to consume. That's a pretty quick way of getting the distinction between first and the other 3 inputs to be clean. I like it. It also suppresses the input so that when ARM 2 grabs, nothing happens. That's really good. Yeah, because ARM 2 would cause a lot of havoc if it was allowed to grab an input on the cycles the Earth was being made. ARM 1 is leaving the input suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
So that ARM 2 can't wreak havoc.
Let's just see that right here, right there. So ARM 2 tries to grab, but it grabs onto nothing. All right. We're coming up to 11th place. '11th place, Brother Mojo.
Mr. Puzzle brings up 113. I think it could. Well, it would need a lot more time, though, because then the Earth would have to be in position by the time the water vitaes were in there. But
Yeah.
anyway, we're on to 10th. Right?
Here's Arm on a 4-track.
Is this 10th or 11th? I forget.
This is 11th.
11th, okay. So that means anyone who hasn't heard their name yet's in the top 10.
Yep, conditional output, and Arm 1 is on a 4-track loop to make Earth. Interesting, anismus and input in the same chamber.
Yeah, that's doable. That's how I did it. It means that you pass out a water, a vitae, and a mores every single tape loop, which means that you have to use a calcifier. But that's not that inconvenient comparatively, and it saves a lot of space for more conditionals.
Indeed. Yeah, the big chamber is pretty wide open in this. Alright, we're coming up to top 10.
We're at 78 instructions in the top 10.
Yes, and we take a small jump down with JoJo. 73.
Okay.
Yep, Arm 6 is on the once every 4 conditional thing. I think that's the only thing that's conditional. I mean, of course, the conditional output, but that's kind of to be expected. Yeah.
Yeah, everything else is just serving all the possible use cases. I don't know if I recognize this layout from their cycle solution or if it's a totally distinct thing.
JoJo says there used to be more conditionals, but I squeezed them all into Arm 6. It's pretty similar. Interesting.
Similar to the cycle solve.
Well, you were tied, but unfortunately tie broken by Goodbye Galaxy, who also...
So 73 instructions, but faster.
Yes.
Interesting. I've wanted to see whether somebody would do this this chamber in the bottom right. It just leaves too little room in the rest of it for me to feel confident that it's a good instruction solution. Even though it's a very clean way of like getting all the individual atoms out of conduit without having an arm that needs to reset.
The conditional logic in this is also pretty interesting, because it always makes a water vitae, but on the very first time, it trashes the vitae to convert the water into an earth.
Oh, because there's nothing that it's already bonded to.
Yes,
So
exactly.
Check whether or not it's bonded to something already, and if it isn't, it does the conversion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so this is a conditional bonding / conditional grab drop solution. Yeah. Very, very cool.
If there isn't something to grab onto in the middle, quote unquote, of the partial product, then create a middle, because you can distinguish easily that way.
All right. We take another small jump down. Mr. Puzzle.
Oh, it's not me. Okay.
68.
68. That's real close. 69. Congrats. It must have heartbroken you to go past 69.
saving 4 cycles didn't matter. Unfortunately not.
I mean, it might have. I was on 68 until my last improvement.
Yeah, but your 68 solution was slower than Mr. Puzzle's by a lot. So
I'm not surprised. All right, so this is another one arm on 4-track, arm 7 here.
Yes, it is.
It's also doing that input into the conduit thing, but in the big chamber, so then it has to pull it out of the other side of the conduit. This is actually... Okay, the animismus is kind of instruction heavy. I'm trying to figure out, like, this looks really instruction light.
Yeah, arm 3 has to pull all the way down and then pull one into the other one. Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. Arm 4 is just 4 instructions. Arm 6 is also just 4 instructions. Oof. Arm 2 is 4 instructions. Arm 7 is decent amount of instructions. Arm 8 is a decent amount of instructions too. Arm 9. Alright. Well, I should probably go and save these actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Congratulations, JoJo on 10th place. Goodbye Galaxy on 9th place. Mr. Puzzle on 8th place.
If it's not me next, it's basically me next.
Yeah, Mr. Puzzle got 8th place. And Biggie Mac is 7th place.
Yeah, I can see the writing on the wall there. I was stuck at 70 for the longest time, and then I revisited my quarter T because I could not get 1/8 T to work. This is a really cheap quarter T. So what it does is it bonds, and then it checks whether it's holding just one atom. If it's holding just one atom, that passes through the conduit, so that it turns into an Earth. Otherwise, it doesn't pass through the conduit, so it's just building more. So my conditional is all in the behavior of the conduit on the specific Roman numeral 1.
It's essentially a, what is it called? It's essentially a grab drop conditional then.
Yeah, it's a conduit pass-through conditional is what I would have called it.
It's not exactly a, like... It's not exactly like a... it's not exactly like a position conditional, but yeah, it is close.
Yeah. And then also Arm 6 has the second conditional where it will only be able to grab something if the product is completed. So I don't ever have to put it on the output. That was where I saved the instructions that brought me from 70 down to 67. The ability to not have to hold it over the output at every point and instead just grab a position that's only available to grab if the output is complete. So 67 is where I stopped. I am really curious what goes lower. And I saw a 1/18 dungeon used in the Lucian title, which already has me really eager to know what's next.
Hi, Mom. Hutobi, you're next.
Hutobi beat
By 1 instruction. Start shaving them.
Oh, this is a 1/3 T I can see because Arm 3 is desynced by 1 each time.
Well, congratulations, Mickey Mac on...
Hutobi working with wrong bonds every single time.
Congratulations.
Oh, wait a second. This is
Mickey Mac for 6th? No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. Yeah, Hutobi is 6th. Let's take a look. I don't see a Arm 12.
No, I said, is this a 1/12?
Oh, is this a 1/12? Well, let's see here. Hutobi runs in 1600 cycles. Oh my god.
It's only moving 1 atom off of the input each time, which is why it's going to be at least 10, and I'm assuming it's 12 because Arm 3 moves 1 tile on a 3-track each time, so it's got to be a multiple of 3.
I'm looking to see if it throws away anything that isn't Morse. Oh, yes, it does. Yeah, yeah, I think this is 1/12. I believe this is 1/12. Yeah,
So
3
arm three's
track.
conditional is to extract water to prevent ever needing to. Yeah, it distinguishes water from salt, so that salt is the only thing that lands on the animismus. And it makes a lot of sense, actually. The conjunction of arm 1, 2, and 3 can produce vitae and mores every third time it goes through.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Wait, wasn't that imply that this is actually a 1/9? But no, it can't be a 1/9.
No, I still haven't figured out what it's doing to conditionally discard one vitae's worth of thing. It's something between arms 4 and 7 that I'm not able to follow in
It takes 1 input per loop.
one
Okay.
atom for the.
Oh. But sometimes it takes 2, right? Because of arm. Oh, it doesn't. Vitae water
Yeah, vitae
doesn't.
water doesn't pass through if it's bonded to Earth. The product sits with its center on the single atom conduit. So yeah, the single atom conduit will distinguish between the nothing case and the rest of the cases.
Well, hold up. I'm pretty sure there was. Yeah, the Vitae water does pass through the conduit. It's just it depends, cause yeah, arm 5 trashes the Vitae, but returns the water.
Okay. Okay. I dig it. 1/12 is a lot of small number t. If you negate it, you get the sum of all positive integers. Did you know that?
Oh my god. That's if you make a really, really big assumption, though.
If
That's
you analytically continue the function that would tell you that you're summing up all positive integers, the sum of all positive integers is negative 1/12.
but you have to make the assumption that 1 minus 1 plus 1 minus 1 dot 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 is equal to 1/2. That's the assumption. But if
It's
you
not. There are lots of ways to arrive at that because it's actually an analytic continuation.
really,
Yeah, I didn't get it from Numberphile. I got it from like slightly more academic sources.
I mean, I
But yeah,
know it's a result that's actually used somewhere, but it's like it's all.
it's a form of renormalization in some string theory versions. But anyway,
Yeah. Anyway, we're going way off track. All right. Congratulations, Hutobi, on 6th place.
I love how many people in Twitch chat can jump in and like explain their take on the thing because they've all heard it. Yeah, Mr. If the sum could make sense, then the sum is minus 1/12. That's analytic continuation in a nutshell. If you have to give an answer, there's only one right finite answer.
5th place. Jin Yu.
1/8 T is 5th. Nice.
63 instructions. Yeah,
It's a
I'm
big jump.
curious exactly how 1/18 T works. I'm guessing you do or use 3 for the Earth.
Arm 4 is only grabbing inputs and is only grabbing inputs every third time through.
Oh, okay. Wait, so oh god, that means the conditionals is like everywhere. Oh no.
They're throwing away a lot of different atoms with arm 3. I thought
Yeah.
some water get thrown out. Also, the clock doesn't actually count as an instruction. So you can remove the clock that's placed on Burlow and it'll still be 63.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and it's just like I can't make sense of this. Because sometimes it throws away the Earth.
Every sixth time that it tries to throw things onto that bonder, what it lands on the bonder is a water and vitae pair. And when it does get a water and vitae pair, it can't fit into the single conduit because it is bonded. So it's still using does it fit through the conduit style conditionals. That's the one thing I can see that is like common to me, but the rest is impressive but hard to really follow.
Okay, so I can see that when it only starts creating an output if it reaches a point where it's got both it's got a water vitae pair, and then immediately afterwards is the earth right there, because then arm 7 moves that 3 atom chunk into the range of arm 10, or arm 10 and 11, which makes the output. Yeah. Well,
This is fifth or fourth?
this is 5th. We have 4 solutions that are lower instructions on this.
Or that'll be harder to understand. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Coming up next, 4th place. Well, congratulations, Jin Yu, on 5th place. 4th place, F. Cavalier.
That's a name that I haven't heard at the top yet. I love it.
61.
Okay.
I don't know where the conditional stuff in this is at all.
This is a pretty aggressive pace as well in terms of speed. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at our phone, it's throwing things into that conduit. So this is a fast solution for 61 instructions.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how is this so low instructions.
It's quarter T. Utopia, we have not reached 3 hours. The stream started 2 hours, 15 minutes ago. Arm 9 is doing a lot of work. I really appreciate how much work Arm 9 is doing with so few instructions.
It checks the output, yes.
Oh, okay. It's a bond conditional for Arm 5. So Arm 5 will only grab if there wasn't a center, and it's from that.
Okay. And everything is just cased out to be trashed, I guess? Yeah, Arm 10...
Arm 10 trashes the vitae that is incidental.
Yeah, and it also sometimes trashes something else, I think? Maybe not. I have to look. Yeah, okay, yeah, it trashes the incidental vitae, whereas the water gets calcified and turned into... Okay. Very cool.
Like, this is 6 lower than my quarter T, and still a quarter T. So quarter T showed a lot of power here.
Mm-hmm. Hutobi, if you start at 1:15 a.m. and it's 3:15 a.m. now, that means that you need to go to sleep.
And if you back those numbers, you get 2 hours. I like your answer, though. That's going to learn the 61 instructions is a good placement there. Alright, so who's left in the top 3? We haven't heard of Romney or Pentapig, and there's one other name that I'm not plucking out yet.
Neuter.
Nushar, nice.
$60 instructions.
And it's doing one atom per tape loop. So that's at least 12. It's almost certainly a 12.
Man, the 2 pivots is kind of painful to watch. It's necessary, though, because of how it's constructed.
Possible bonds.
Yeah. It's just slightly painful to watch, but oh well.
Oh yeah, it's only a repeat winner if Pentapig wins. It's not if Rolandi wins.
Yeah, I did spoil that about 2.5 hours ago.
We know Rolandi's the winner here.
Yep. Pentapig is our first repeat winner of this tournament. It took him 5 weeks, or 4 weeks. 4 weeks.
It's not surprising in my end, though. Like, the person who is the best at instructions historically is the instructions winner for this puzzle as well. We got another Burlow in the main chamber, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare enough to call out. Really good work by Nuchar here.
Yeah, Rolami, you were leading for like most of the week, and then Pentapig like dropped his solution today. I'm like, oh.
There's just so much efficient motion. I really like it. This solution is it's efficient. I like seeing it and understanding it better than I expected to understand something that beat me by 7 instructions.
59. Just start shaving those cycles. Keep shaving. So yeah, congratulations. I think I said congratulations for Jin Yu. Congratulations F Cavalier on 4th place. Congratulations Nuchar on 3rd. And congratulations to Rolamini on 2nd. Here we go, let's take a look. Ooh, Animismus conditionals.
I'm looking and I'm interesting. So it is a 1/8 T like I was trying to create. Or no, wait. No, yeah, it is. It's a 1/8 T. Every second time the tape runs, it is given 1 water, 1 Vitae, and 1 Moors through the conduit. This is the start. It's not the exact same start, but it's a very similar start to the one that I spent like 3 days trying and failing. Because 1/8 T is tantalizingly close to possible. And I knew it would be possible if someone capable got it. Okay, so yeah, 1/8 T is being put to good use here, and it's under 60, which is really cool.
Do you remember what OMG It's Abyss solution was if you deleted ARM 3?
50.
Mm-hmm.
How much better is Pentapig than Rolami in this instructions metric?
That was the question. Place your bets.
I would not be shocked if it was a blowout. Because Pentapig's just the champion of instructions blowouts. Interesting, Rolami says never had anything else than 1/8 T the whole week. So I had a quarter T and I tried to adapt the ideas from it into a 1/8 T, which was probably narrower in scope than I was needing to succeed. Because there's new ideas in this. There's the ARM 4, which is the half desynced. I tried something like that, but the pivot would cause a problem.
Yeah, ARM 4 is a 3-arm that runs every other time because it rotates over by 60 degrees.
Yeah, and so it allows the water and the Moors to be distinguished despite having very similar availability timings. Oh wait, ARM 4 could be a 6-arm. Then it's different than me.
Wait, ARM 4 could be a 6-arm?
It just doesn't grab anything because everything's already been cleared from that conduit by the time it grabs.
Oh. Yeah. Oh well. So, I actually have to say, Pentapig did not actually do that big of a blowout. It is a small jump, but it's not actually that big of a blowout. 55.
55 is amazing though.
Yes. It is definitely lowest instructions by I mean, for sure.
This is the 1/8.
Is it?
I'm looking at ARM 6. It's going to grab an input every second tape loop.
Oh, it is? Every second tape loop, yes.
Yeah, this is similar to something that I tried to cram into the bottom right chamber. Man, the 1/8 T that I was working so hard for was the top 2 different approaches. But the amount of effort that it took to get it working was like beyond my mental capacity.
Is this really
so cool.
1/8 T though? I'm trying to see if if this is really 1/8 or this is 1/4, because I think this is 1/4.
No, it's got to be every 1/8. Like it's doing the same
Oh
thing to
right, okay. Yeah, sorry. It's doing everything. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's making it. It's 4 inputs, but every tape loop actually only have. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's 1/8. It's 1/8.
Yeah, it is adding one atom to the output, except for when that atom is an Earth, that it takes 2 loops to add it. But 55.
Mm-hmm.
So, input in the main chamber was something that I really struggled to try to conceptualize just because of how much space conditionals seems to take. But a lot of Pentapig's conditionals are sliding, so they don't take as much space as I was using. And putting disposal in the single atom chamber is not that expensive because it's just Mors being disposed and the single vitae that is. Oh, it uses the same instructions to dispose the vitae as it uses to dispose the Mors because it doesn't dispose anything after it drops a vitae on that.
Mm-hmm. The fact that ARM 5 only runs once per instruction tape definitely helps. The disposal only runs once per instruction tape. I noticed in a lot of earlier solutions that you had multiple copies of the
Movement to disposal.
yeah, which definitely adds to it.
ARM 8 is extraordinarily brilliant in this solution because it serves the dual purpose of positioning the partial output for the next bond and disposing of vitae if there isn't anything to bond to.
Yes, I see that now.
So one set of instructions serves two very distinct and essential parts of the solution. Rolomni says he's also doing that. Okay. That's something that I had to use 2 separate arms to do in my 1/8 attempts, and it also took up too much space. Getting it all to fit, like getting the algorithm that this is implementing to fit in this amount of space was above me, but it's really cool to see the people who got it to work. And 55 is a little higher than I expected the winner to be because of, I guess, how confined this space is, but it's still an impressive solution. Big congrats to Pentapig on a well-earned repeat win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just taking a look at ARM 3 to see what's. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Congratulations, Pentapig, on first place. Very well earned, and you are our first repeat winner. Yeah, if Rolomni had taken first place, we would have had another week of no repeat winners, which would have been pretty crazy, actually. All right. I don't know who sent in this showcase solution, actually.
No disposal. Wait, that's a lot of Mors.
I have to go and check. I have to go and check who sent in this solution.
Mr. Puzzle's taking
Mr.
credit.
Puzzle. Okay.
$9.92. It's a 60, but it kind of has to be because Mors is going to be building up.
Yes, I see, Mr. Puzzle. I saw. Yeah, Mr. Puzzle submitted this one.
I remember at the very beginning of the week when this was released, Jojo had not noticed that you got a disposal in this and thought that this was the required way of solving, was to have 18 Mors sitting around.
Yep, it's possible. It's very possible. Apparently I didn't put your Biggie. I apparently I did not put yours in the showcase.
I didn't send it.
Oh, you didn't send. Oh, well.
Yeah, I asked you if this is the only one. Let me know and I'll send over the file, and you never responded. But if Rolomni sent one that was cheaper, then I'm absolutely I'd get rid of any claim that made a single chamber solution worth showing, because this is more worth showing than mine.
Yeah, apparently single chamber fixed arm on a 4-track is possible. You need 4 tracks for Animismus, so yeah.
Yeah, this is min cost because it's everything that is placed is essential. Mine was one chamber, but was a piston on 2 tracks, so it was 10 gold more expensive. Yeah, putting the conduits, the disposal, and the necessary duplication all underneath Burlow at least frees up a lot of space. But yeah, this is basically stretched to the limit.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the no access point on duplication means that you have to have bonded something before you.
Right, but in this case, it's not a huge deal because you can just wand it, or it's not really a wand, but you can essentially wand it in quotations in with
I think Starfish has mostly been calling things that you use in costs to reach things you can't reach just structures.
yeah, okay,
It's
yeah,
only a wand if
structures.
it's used to achieve motion. If
Yeah,
it's just used to achieve access, it's a structure.
okay. Yeah, with this you can pretty easily use the water as a structure, or the vitae if you really wanted to, but then you have to debond, so yeah, whatever. Lacking a critical cliff of
What
equilibrium.
is the last wand here? Oh yeah, scaffold. That's what you were right. Thank you, Starfish. I was like, I said structure and it doesn't seem right. What is it actually saying?
Scaffold. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no Critelli hex on this thing.
Yeah, production layouts, you don't really get to pick whether the Critelli is in or out of the chambers.
Yeah.
It exists, but it's underneath one of the walls in this, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay. The way that mine did it, it bonded one atom at a time instead of making water vitae pairs and bonding them to the center. But the way that the bonder is laid out here, it only really works to put the last bond as a water vitae bonded to an earth.
All
but
right.
It works. And it's honestly really impressive that it works because it's even one-upping what I thought I had shown off.
Well, that is all of the week 4 solutions that I've got. Well, except for the ones that people didn't send in, which I mean.
Those are all the ones you got.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go and start compiling these things onto the.
Yeah, I'd love to see how many points people got for what this is, because like production puzzles is where you don't earn as many points because the minima are so far away.
All right.
And I've noticed, and it's prevented me from being spoiled as I was in previous weeks, that you haven't put anything in the week 4 folder yet.
Wait, could you say that again?
Like usually you've put things in the week 4 Google Drive, the unverified results, so that I can be slightly spoiled while I'm doing these commentaries.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
Just renaming these files so they're not unverified anymore. Let's see here. Full results and condensed results. Rename this. Rename this. And then upload these over. I need to rerun the CG solution parser again to put everything into that in week 2. I'll take a look in a sec. Week 2. Wait, week 2 does have solutions and verification. I don't know. Maybe it was week 3? Week 3 has verification. I don't know. Alright. Time to into current standings. worries. See you next week, I think.
Yep. I definitely have solved week 5 already, and I look forward to about week 6. And
Oh,
whether or not you
yes,
should.
yes. Yeah, so there is a week 6 poll about if people want to take a break. Yeah, so if you want to do, if you want a week 6 either extended, or if you want a break between week 6 and week 7, there's a poll there. There's also a question in the poll about if you want week 7, 8 to be 2-week puzzles instead of the what's currently a 1 week. They are somewhat easier than week 6, I believe, but I'm just putting it out there if people feel too rushed. Week 9 will definitely be 2 weeks for sure.
6 and 9 are the murder you puzzles.
Let's see here. Oh god. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this over because I will want to preserve the. Yeah. All right. I'll see you, Biggie. Sorry, was it ICG or is it IGC? Let me take a look. ICG. It is ICG. Week 4. Score results. Sort. A to Z. Copy. Paste. Anime, Bambi, Biggie Mac. Brother Mojo. It's by himself. Chickens in the attic. Did not receive from Cold Spaghetti this time. Mr. Puzzle. New char, OMG Abyss, Andrej K. Pentapig. Rebix. Rebix is new. Rolomni. R Titan. Sander S. Specht 98. Starfish. Oh no, I broke the formatting. Oops. Alright, let me go and delete this row of names and shift this column over. Trying to figure out how to do the box around the name. Oh well. Okay. Alright, so that is CG results, and then ICG. Copy, paste. All right. So I just finished sorting everything. I missed a few scores when shifting to the left. Did I? Oh, I did. Tweedledee. How did I miss that? Oh, that was weird. No, this is summed up all the way to K, so it doesn't matter. That's weird. Let me just undo a little bit to see how I missed that. Sorry. Oh, it's at the bottom. Whoops. I guess I didn't scroll down far enough. Okay. Control Y. I'm gonna redo that, and then I'm going to just do these manually. All right. Week 4. Redo the formatting. Alrighty. Here we go. Top 10. 10th place, Matter Monkey. There's actually quite a drop-off after 10th place. 11th place is Starfish, who did not actually submit week 3 at all. So they're about 6 points behind. So 10th place is Matter Monkey. 9th place is JoJo. 8th place, Goodbye Galaxy. 7th place, Brother Mojo. 6th place, Newchar. Then there is a big jump from 60 points, Newchar at 6th place, to Mr. Puzzle at 66.9 points. Rolomni is at 4th place with 68.6 points for 4th place. Mr. Puzzle's at 5th. Rolomni's at 4th. And then the top 3 are kind of in their own league. Pentapig, Jinyu, Biggie Mac in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Yeah, so Pentapig is at 73.891, I believe, and that is out of a grand total of 80 points, which is 92.36%. Yeah, only Jinyu and Pentapig are above 90% score, which is kind of crazy. To be fair, this is mostly because in the previous tournament in 2020, the minimum metrics were a little bit easier to get, so it wasn't too difficult to score 5 for your metric score. So getting about 90% of all total score was easier. But for this tournament, because the minimum metric is sometimes really difficult to get or to find, it is harder to get a really high total maximum score. But yeah. Our first repeat winner is Pentapig, and they have 2 10 out of 10 scores by their name now. I'm still considering whether or not I'll allow competitors to drop a week, their lowest scoring week, just because. I mean, it's because there is like a lot of burnout, and there is a lot of, I want to encourage people to submit solutions, and I want to encourage people to try their best and whatnot. So the only reason why I'm a little bit hesitant to kind of like not do that is kind of it makes it a little bit harder for me to do the spreadsheets, but like that doesn't really matter. I need to go and figure out how to format this. Alright, well, while I go and figure this out, I'll just quickly say, thanks everyone for coming to the stream. 2 hours 47 minutes. It did end up going a little bit long. Oops. Oh, total score for Rebix is missing. Oh, it is. Oops. Here. There we go. Let me just resort that. Thank you for catching that for me. Total score. There we go. Rebix is there. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do the outline around that happened when I inserted Rebix into the thing. Yeah, the format. Anyway, yeah, I'll figure that out after the stream. So, yeah, thanks everyone for coming. Please fill out the form if you haven't already. Yeah. I'll see all of you next week, I guess, for week 5 results. Week 6 will be dropping in 3 days-ish. It will be a tough one. You guys will figure out. Oh, as thanks for watching the stream, actually, I will drop a hot hint about what week 6 is. I will give you the title of the puzzle. The title to the puzzle of week 6 is Ravari's Rage. That is all you need to know. All right, see you all next week.